Hello, welcome to one section of the Life Design series. In this one, we're looking at living from the heart, especially on a personal level. And I know many of you care about our communities and you're looking for new ideas about how to get involved or get others involved. And I do too. I notice that we have a big problem in community development and volunteer organizing, that we need more help. So we need to find a way to rally more people to get involved. And so I've been looking in coming up with a training myself, and this is part of it, to help people find out more of who they are and then where they can find their way to be involved in society so that we get more people involved. And then, getting ideas together, I looked around and I saw some things called life design this or that. And I kind of noticed that a lot of the things out there were either too brainy, like you need to use your left brain or your right brain, or else they were too fluffy, like you could just draw a vision board and you would be on your way. It was that easy. And I've come to discover, I think it's a lot deeper and wilder than that. That at the core of our being, in our design as human beings, we're actually made to live from our hearts, not from our minds. And so with that in mind, I just want to comment a lot about that. And part of that is, why do we love movies so much and stories? Because they invite us into an adventure of the heart where there's battle and there's romance and there's action. And we all long to be part of something like that. And so I'm going to invite you to go on a little adventure, in my little adventure of my heart. And along the way, I'll show a few tools that you might be able to use in your adventure of discovering more of who you are and where you might fit in society. So to begin with, all of us in our childhood, our families, our upbringing, just to make it quick, we all start off with probably some rocks in our hearts. That would be some rough times, some hurts, some wounds, maybe some unforgiveness, some betrayal, or just some feeling of lostness. And that we all start with some of that, and we have to deal with that, and that's part of our adventure. And then also we might have some darkness in our lives, just some bad memories, maybe some bad moral behavior, an addiction or something we can't get rid of, or maybe we're hiding from people because of something we're ashamed of. And those are all things that influence our hearts, and they keep us from getting involved, lacking the confidence to get involved. And a huge issue as we're talking about movies is that all of us are being sold on some big story to live in. We might get that from our parents, from our religion, politics, economics, social, philosophy, or just from TV. We might just get the idea that we're just here to work and survive and watch football on weekends or something. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities of the story we're being sold and why we're here. And so sometimes we might have a wisdom book along in our story, some book that's telling us how to live, or we might bring a journal along with us to kind of take notes of what's happening along the way. That way we can be analyzing how we're doing, and that's very important to do. So in my own journey, a few key moments came where some things happened were, one thing was that for my heart was when I was 18, I had a summer job after graduating from high school of cleaning up streets with other people at Six Flags over Mid-America. And it was rough, and I had a bad attitude. And but I don't know where it came from, but somewhere out of my heart, I made this decision that I was going to beat that job. And then so I started working hard, and then the other people in my crew rallied behind me, and I ended up getting an award for the best worker in my department that summer with some scholarship money. So that was just something that happened in my heart when I was 18 that really turned my life around and gave me some more heart to live in. Another biggie was when I was about to graduate from college, I was going to be an engineer, and my college girlfriend had it all planned out. We were going to get married and live happily ever after in suburbia, the American dream. But something inside of me just asked the question, is that what's really going on here? Isn't there more to life? Is that all there is? I felt like I was being railroaded down this path without much choice. So I began to ask questions, and that led me to be more of a spiritual seeker. I met a guy who told me I should check out these books by Carlos Castaneda and others who were into like New Age power and nature and experimenting with drugs. And I was trying some things out and seeing some cool things happen. And that included going out to nature more, and getting out where I'm seeing beautiful national parks and backpacking, and that also opened my mind just to be thinking about the bigger things. And then that led to me moving to Tucson, Arizona, where I am above right now on Mount Lemmon. And with all that, though, I still had a dark cloud in my life. I wasn't becoming this good person I wanted to be, and I had a nagging drug problem that just wouldn't go away. And so I was still trying, And along the way, a spark might happen, like a spark, somebody told me, hey, Mike, you should try being a waiter. And so I did. I ended up working here in Tucson at La Paloma. And I found that I liked to be in the action. Like, there were conferences and big parties, and I had no problem being out there among the people, serving and helping. And I just had this thing about being in the action, and that became part of who I am. And then after a time, though, I still wasn't changing. And then all of a sudden came a moment that I'll call a wake-up call. I had a sudden knee accident playing in a softball game I didn't care about, and that humbled me. I was now no longer to be the cool nature boy and hike and even work. I was that injured, and that made me really stop and think, and again have to ask questions. Why is this happening? What does this mean? Why am I not changing? And I did something even better, even more important, that makes a connection out there from your heart. Is I even said, I need help. I'm not changing, so I cried out to God or whoever you are, what's going on here? And I believe that something happened there beyond just me doing that. That something even went out there. That's how connected things are. And not long after that, I was, after having a flat tire on my mountain bike, which didn't happen basically in the city, I was limping home, barely off crutches. And some guys came out of nowhere and said that God told them to talk to me about Jesus, and I was like, no thanks. I was part of the church when I was a kid, and the priest was this big around and smoked cigarettes and wanted money. So, but I couldn't deny the coincidence of running into these guys, and so I started checking out a new wisdom book, some of the teachings of Jesus, and I started to see things happen. That wow, this guy really was more about other people and about an awe and wonder of life than this kind of new age self-power that I was into. And eventually I became a follower of these ideas, and it changed me, actually. And the dark cloud of the drug problem went away, and it's been gone for 27 years now. And also I began to realize that in our hearts are some nice things. Hey, something softer, more colorful, more creative. And I began to believe that there's good things in our hearts, but we have to discover them once the clouds are removed. Maybe once the rocks are removed. Maybe once we start living a better story, we can discover more goodness in our hearts. And I kept going, and I was experimenting with new things and volunteering, and I thought I might be more useful learning Spanish. And so a big moment came whenever I made a decision that I kind of like to exemplify by this lightning bolt, that I made a decision by faith to move to Mexico for 1 year and learn enough Spanish to be useful. But I ended up staying there for 6 years. And part of that was that people told me I was good with kids, and I was pondering a change in career to education because my knee was beat up. And so when I went to Mexico, I got a job teaching children English, perfect. And then I started to know children hanging out on street corners with nothing to do. And again, I saw an opportunity, and I got involved. I call it a choice of faith, where you do something that's good and you connect maybe with God and power, and things happen. It went real well, and it ended up changing some kids' lives, taught some kids to read, to hike, to play guitar, to pray. And so all that really is a part of my journey of finding out more of who I am. And that eventually led to another interruption, a wake-up call. I thought I might live in Mexico forever and plug into this one valley and help these small towns. But I got sick with yellow hepatitis A, and that slowed me down again, and I pondered my ways, and I realized that I really like to be in the action, and I was really more concerned about how can we help the systems which are taking lots of kids out, and instead of me helping 2 kids, maybe I can affect the systems and help hundreds of kids or even thousands. And that led me to think of more a part of how to be part of the community. That's the next piece of discovering who we are. Because continuing to move into the community. And I've already mentioned some ways of getting involved in the community by volunteering or with kids, work, of course, school, life. But there's a place to even go farther in that, and I'll talk about that in another short video. So thanks for your time here. I hope you see some tools here that you can use. You know, listen to people when they give you ideas, sparks. There's good things in your hearts. Hey, listen to the wake-up calls. You might have to put away some of those books of wisdom that don't work very well. And then remember to keep dreaming and go after who you are. From your heart, you really want to know who you are and how you can serve this greater world. And so thanks for your time, and we'll check in later.